Hey, welcome back to another edition of Old Testament Study with Hillel and Rick. Can you believe it's that time again? It is. This one, I'm not sure when this one's going up. I record them when we do them, and then I do these intros and my outros after. Um, so sometimes these might be going up closer together. I didn't put one up last week, so I think two are going up this week in a row. Anyways, I hope you're enjoying this. So let's get on with it. Let's see how far we get this week in Genesis chapter 1. Can you still believe after like 6 weeks we're still in chapter 1? What are you telling me? We're only in chapter 1. Anyway, sorry. I just gotta make things dramatic sometimes for whatever reason. Anyways, on with the show, whichever way it is.
I think it'll start.
And I will get over there and bring up the...
So it says that we're live, but just give it I'll wait till it turns 9 o'clock before I start.
Okay. And I will try and find this.
Somebody's in the room. They're going to sit through less than a minute. All right, 9 o'clock. Rick, you know what time it is, right?
Torah time?
Torah time, that's right. It's time for some Genesis. And my name's Hillel, and partnered up here with Rick, and we're talking about the book of Genesis. We're in chapter 1, verse 9 today, or in Hebrew you would say we're in Bereshit, Aleph, Pasuk Tet. So let's go ahead and get this going here. I don't know how far we're going to get. We'll see. Rick said he estimated we get two verses in, 9 and 10 in, and I'm hoping that we'll get at least 3. But who knows? It depends. Rick, how many rabbit trails do you have in your pocket today?
I don't know. It depends on what you say. You know, my rabbit trails, they could be based on what you say, based on some wacky thought that comes up through my mind. You never know.
You can have it in one or both pockets. Who knows what's going to happen? So, all right. So in Pasuk Tet, verse 9, it says, "Vayomer Elokim yikavu hamayim mitachat hashemayim el makom echad v'tere hayavasha he came." So it says, and God said, "Let the waters gather from under the heavens to
Bring up
one place. Let the dry land appear," and it was so. Some interesting things going on here. First off, it tells us let the waters under the heavens gather to one place. They were in one. They were all over the place. Now they're in one place. Right? That's interesting. Of course, we know that the waters are all over the world. We have lakes and oceans and seas and all that.
Yeah.
So it's curious what that means.
Yeah.
Let the dry land appear.
Could mean they could have been in one place at that time, and as we'll get to, Noah's flood made the world look a lot different than it did back then, I would say.
Okay. We'll have to tune in and find out if what Rick says is true or not. Looking forward, holding our breath. Wait to get out our breath and take a new breath. We don't accidentally die of lack of oxygen. Okay. Oh, it says so. One of the objections that the Rambam raises up is he says, wait a second. God says, let the seas appear in one place. Why do you have to add? What does it have to add on there? Let the dry land appear. Obviously, if all the water is going to appear in one place, dry land is going to automatically appear. There's no need for us to say that extra little bit there. And we've talked about this before. The Torah is very conservative, so it doesn't say things unnecessarily. Some extra information there. So there's something going on here that just saying let the waters gather in one place was insufficient for God to make his point here. There's for some reason he had to add and let the dry land appear. So the Rambam says, to whom, which is the water and earth, mixed together was like muddled water. So he wants to go back to, if you remember, it says in the Spirit of God was over the face of the deep. It took home. So home, as we talked about previously, means basically water and dirt mixed together, and you have mud. The entire world was filled with mud. Okay, so what he wants to say here is he wants to say that mud and probably water as well, because he talks about how there was water over it.
So make the mud, let the mud become dry, basically, instead of be liquefied a little.
Well, there's also a thing, yeah, but there's also the issue that when he said let the dry land appear, also pulling back the waters and then elevating the land so that the land can actually appear. So the land appears higher than the waters, so that so that can actually they can gather, and then that will help pull out the moisture from the mud, and then you've got dirt, dry land. He says this is the idea here. And it says, so it's written, the one who spread out the land upon the water. This is Psalm 136:6 to 136:5 in the Christian. I think there's a verse different.
Yeah.
But what he's trying to argue is that this idea of the land rising up above the water, right here, Psalm seems to support that notion, saying, yeah, it says this in Psalms. So it's right. So if I guess you could say that the land appears over the water itself. So so I'm a little scattered for some reason. So
yeah.
I don't know what the problem is. I'm a little scattered, but
it's all right. We all have our off days. You'll get through it.
Okay, so there's a second decree. The land should be a sphere, partially revealed and mostly submerged. This is what the Greeks theorize. So what he's talking about is there are two different persons. The Greeks had one theory about how land emerged. And if you look, like, you have the Egyptian myth, you have all these different myths. Yeah. They have different ideas. Egyptian myth, you have this man sitting on a clod of dirt. I think his name was Atom, Adtoam, I believe. And he just came in sort of riding on this little mini island with a snake, and from there the land appeared. Always interesting when you look at some of the mythologies that there are. Yeah. There's so many things that are shared in common.
Yeah.
The Chinese mythology, and they talk about Pangu splitting the land or the world or whatever, splitting the heavens, and there seems to be this notion of something getting broken in order for the present world to take on the form that it is. So it's always very interesting. So the Greeks have this theory about how the land appears and how it really, the relationship between land versus water. They want to say that the land is like a sphere, and that the water. Here's why this is all important, is because if we take it according to like early Greek notion of the elements and the explanation of how things come to be the way they are, Greek notion is that every element has like a weight to it, and so earth is the heaviest element. So earth then tends to sink down. Water is lighter than earth, so water is going to go up, and fire and air are both lighter than water and earth, so they're going to be above those. This is a notion from the Greeks that why is it that why is the land above the water? The water should be above the land. And if this idea of earth being the heaviest element is true, that's one of the problems. And here, simultaneously, we're wondering about how can we have the land, the water, and the land, their relationship? Because why is that the water? And I guess you have similar question here with the Torah. Why does the water not spread over the land? If you've ever been to a beach, right, that water come in and then go back. It'll come in and go back, but it won't go too far.
Okay.
You want to say something, Rick?
I was going to say, technically the water is over the land. Because if you take all that water out, there's land underneath.
Right. That's true. There is land under there. And we're going to get to that in a little bit, actually. But from the appearance of human appearance, if you've never gotten into the water, it looks like the water is below the land, and the land is above the water.
Yeah.
So this is one thing: is why do we have to have these two sayings? Let the waters gather in one place, and then it comes in and says, and then let the dry land appear, and it was so. And it was so. Vayihi Cain means if you remember back, we talked about Vayihi Cain means, and it was so means now this has become fixed. This is now a fixed part of nature. We've realized the potential of the Hul. That Hul has taken on this form. The form that's taken on here is water gathered into a place, and the dry land appearing out of the water as the mud. The mud is separated into elements.
Yeah, bringing up land. As I just said, there's water. There's land underneath the water, so it's bringing up land above the water.
Right.
To be dry, so people can walk on. Although there weren't any people yet, or animals.
So the interesting thing is that if everything we're going through in the creation account until we start talking about up to this point, everything is about separating. Light and darkness are in the mixture, and now they're separated from one another, and then they become fixed. Water is mixed within itself, then it's separated, and you have two waters in one place and water in another place. And then you have water and earth are mixed together, and they have to separate, right? And it's only once this process of separation is completed that we then get involved in vegetation appearing, which we're going to get to that in, I think it's verse 11, 10 or 11. So
if we get there.
If we get there, that's right. We should get there. I think we should get there. There's not a whole lot to say. I think for this part right here, there's not a whole lot to say. I want to point out that this word yikavu, which means to gather, this shares the root that we get for a mikveh. Mikveh is a ritual bath that we have that we use in Judaism. Serves lots of different purposes. Women after their time in the month go to the mikveh. Men use the mikveh for different purposes.
Was that not in the temple? I think I remember something about the mikveh being in the temple. I could be wrong.
No, we have mikvahs for all sorts of things. We have mikvahs for people, mikvahs for vessels. So, for example, if I go and I buy a knife, right? I want to use the knife. Before I can use the knife, I have to take it and I have to submerge it in the mikveh.
Oh, okay.
And a mikveh, what defines it from just like a barrel of water, right, is that a mikveh has to be from living water. It means it can't be stagnant water. So you have to have a system where you gather the water in. The interesting thing about this is that,
in other words, it's got to always be flowing.
It's got to be flowing, and there's got to be, right. It's going to have some fresh water coming into it, collected by rain or whatever else. And so what you have is is you'll have like the mikvah that you're using, and the water will flow out from there, and so you get the fresh water coming in. Um, but for a long time, they thought that the Jews, for some reason, just sort of like exile, had just sort of inexplicably started doing this, and they didn't really think it was a real thing. And then they discovered at Masada, which was a famous Jewish fortress, it fell, I think, in the 2nd century. It was something built by Herod the Great. It was one of the many building projects he built. It was meant to be a fortress. Herod was always worried that that people would turn on him and attack him. So he created Masada as a fortress, and it was stocked up. And one of the things he built there was a mikveh, which was really surprising. So they found this mikveh. I've seen it. I've been in it. It's really cool. I mean, it has all the hallmarks of a typical mikveh, modern mikveh. There's really no difference between them.
Almost like a little bit like an aqueduct to keep the water flowing.
Right, exactly. And so if you don't have a man-made mikveh, you can use like the sea or lake, or anything that is not stagnant water, that has the ability to be fresh and flowing. A river possibly also.
Yeah, or a stream, something like that. Doesn't matter how big it is, just as long as it's flowing.
Well, it has to be big enough for you so you can submerge something. Like if it's not, you see that the thing with the mikveh is the point is complete submersion.
Yeah.
So I think this is like what you guys do with baptizing or something.
Yeah.
Is that you're I think I read somewhere that the practice of baptizing came from using a mikveh.
So, could be because John did baptizing in I think it was the Jordan. And it was supposed to be baptism unto repentance. So repenting, I guess flowing, making you new. That would make sense with flowing water.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole purpose of a mikveh for a person is kind of renewal. You're moving from a status of being impure to pure.
Yeah.
And for the same thing for, I think, silverware or vessels that you're going to submerge in a mikveh. I just want to point out that this word that we've got here, to gather, yikavu, this yikavu is used, it's the same root for mikveh that we use, and it just means a gathering of water. And that's exactly what's going on. He says, let these waters gather here into one place. Under the heavens, it says, which is interesting. So the water is, let the waters under the heavens gather to one place, not the other waters.
Yeah, the waters that waters that are above, they can just free float anywhere.
Right, exactly. That brings us to 10. Vayikra Elokim levasha eretz v'linichve mayim kara yamim vayara Elokim kitov. It says here, and God called the dry land earth, and He called the water, into the water He called seas, and God saw that it was good.
Yeah.
So,
in some ways, it's funny that God calls the dry land Earth, and then suddenly we just call our whole planet Earth because of it.
Right?
I know
I don't know if the whole the Hebrew word for world is olam, so it's different. In English, it's a funny joke, but in Hebrew, it doesn't work that well.
Okay. What's the Earth called, or the planet called on
Elam?
Elam?
Olam.
Olam?
Olam. Olam. O-L-A. Olam. Yeah. Olam. And it can also mean like eternity, forever. It can also mean that as well. It can mean world, it can mean universe, it can mean forever. It has different connotations. And also, Olam. If you pronounce it as Alam, that means hidden. And so the world hides God. That's the idea. The reason the world hides God is so that we can have free will. Ultimately, that's the purpose of our creation, is that we should have free will and make a free will choice of God over the world itself. Instead of choosing just the world, but we're not aesthetic. We're not trying to. The world is not sin itself. The world is meant to be used, and it can be used for good or for evil. That's really one of the lessons here we have with the Torah and the commandments, is that we can take anything mundane and we can elevate it for a holy purpose.
Yeah. Or you can take anything and use it for a perverted purpose.
That's right, exactly. And so that's the decision we have. How are we going to use the things that are around us? Are we using for good or for evil? And here in verse 10 it says, "And God called the dry land earth." So it's a little bit strange that he calls it earth, because Aretz is what we started off with. Right? Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. You got to create the heavens and the earth. So now, now we have, just like we had with the heavens being appropriated for a slightly different task. Originally, the heavens referred to the Hillel. And we had two types of Hillel made. We had the heavenly Hillel and the earthly Hillel. The potential of the heavens and the potential of the earth. These are like realms, I guess, in some way.
Yeah.
So there, though, God ends up using the term heavens to refer to that was actualized, and he made it into the heavens. That serves their atmosphere, more or less. So there becomes a distinction between like the higher heavens and the lower heavens. The lower heavens are where the sun and the moon and us, our air and everything like that is. The higher heavens is where the divine throne is, where the angels serve and all that.
Yeah.
So here we have a similar situation where God now takes the term haaretz and he uses it now to refer to the mundane world. It's now no longer haaretz in the sense of the full potentiality, but it's now haaretz in reality. It's been realized as this. So he uses that name over again. It makes sense, because if you think about it, once the creation process is done, you no longer have the Hillel of heaven and the Hillel of earth that we started off with, because all that potential has been realized.
Yeah.
That's what we're left with when we get to this part. So now you've got these two perfectly good names. You just don't want to let them go to waste. So you might as well reuse them. So and
he saw that this was good. God saw. Well, unless he called the seas, because we talked about the land there, or we're going to. I guess there's the gathering of the waters again.
Right. So we talked about the earth and the dry land. Now we're talking about the gathering of the waters. The gathering of the waters he called seas. So we have over here the word for sea is yam.
Yam.
I had some popcorn earlier. Now it's getting agitated in my throat. Give me just a second. I'll have to drink some water.
Most definitely. And when you have water, I'll have some strawberry pop. Although he doesn't hear me.
Mm-hmm. All right, sorry about that.
I said
that's what I get for eating popcorn right beforehand.
I said, well, you had your water. I had some strawberry pop.
Very nice. I'm off the straight sugary drinks. I'm on zero and all the zeros. I'm doing all the zeros. So it says here that he called the name of the water Yam. Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Okay. Maybe I'm mixing up words. I thought the word yom was day, or maybe
Yom is dead.
yom. This is yom.
Yom is dead. This is Yam.
This is yom.
This
They sound similar. You can see my.
sure.
Okay.
This is actually Yamim, and here the Hebrew uses the word Yamim, which sounds like a plural because the Yud Mim at the end of it is like a plural ending, right? So Ramban says no, that's not. Don't understand that as being a plural ending. We have another situation here where two words have been taken and combined together, and the two words that are taken are Yam, sea, and Maim, water. So that's called a sea of water. Now, this is a little bit weird, right? Because of course the sea is water. Right? If I say I'm going to go to the sea, I'm not talking about any. I'm going to go jump in some cotton balls. I'm going to the sea, right? I know that's water. Well, the Ramban comes and tells us, well, we've been misunderstanding the word yam. Yam itself does not refer to water. Yam refers to that which contains the water. How do we know this? If you look at Isaiah 11:9, which is like a messianic passage, right? It says there, let me get over there real quick. Let's go Yirmiyahu. And 11:9. They will neither injure nor destroy in all of my sacred mountain, for the earth will be as filled with knowledge of God, or the Lord, as water covering the seabed. Kamayim layam mekasim. So I don't know. When I've read that years back, I always said, "What do you mean, like water covering?" Because I think I'd read translations before they called it, water covering the sea. Now here they're being explicit for you, so you know we're talking about the seabed, not the sea itself. So here they're making a distinction in the English over here.
Yeah, between
We also
the
have
whole sea and the bottom of the sea.
the seabed, and so we have that, but we also have. I'm trying to find the quote here. It's 1 Kings 7:23 to 27. This we talk about Solomon's sea. Remember he had the oxen and he had the laver. It was filled with water, and that's where the Levi'im and the Kohanim would go wash their hands.
Okay.
So that is called the sea. The sea there does not refer to the water; it refers to the bronze basin that was made that contained the water. So when we see yamim, why does it say yamim? Not to say it's a plural, but to say in fact it's talking about it's two words, yam, the sea, the thing containing maim, the waters. So what we're talking about when we talk about sea is something that contains the waters. And so God created something to contain the waters, which is the seabed, which is what you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Using like the ground, or using earth in one sense. But it's not the same as dry earth. So dry ground is called eretz. You don't talk about the seabed as eretz. That's not eretz.
Yeah.
Eretz also gets used also to refer to like territories of nations. Eretz Mitzrayim is the land of Egypt. It's talking about the national borders of Egypt.
Yeah.
Eretz Israel is the national borders of Israel. And so that's how that word also gets used. It talks about a predefined territory, if you will. Or a territory. It doesn't have to be predefined, but a defined territory, if you will.
Yeah.
Whatever that nation's territory is.
Yeah.
Oh, we're making pretty good time, Rick.
Yeah, we might actually get done 4 verses.
I
Amazing!
know.
I'm certainly sure we'll
Okay.
get done the 3rd one here.
We might. So, keto, that's good. I saw that it was good. This right here, saying that it was good. So it was talks about the permanence, but also it means that this is basically according to God's desire. It is good means that something has been accomplished according to God's desire. Now, notice one thing, that day 2 does not say that it was good.
Yeah.
Right?
I think there's day 2 says it doesn't say it was good, and I know there's probably gonna be a few episodes before we get there, but day 6 I think says it was good, puts it double. It was
Very
good,
good.
very good. You know.
Very good. Right. So the reason that day 2 doesn't get it was good is because God wasn't done with the waters yet. He separated the lower waters from the upper waters, but he hadn't separated the waters from the earth yet.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah. Hold on. Hey, sorry about that. I'm back.
Okay.
What was it? Yeah, I get it because he wasn't done with fully what he had done. You know, like that. You know, it's like it's quitting time for lack of a better word, and okay, everything's not done. You know, so we got to finish it. We got to finish this project tomorrow.
But I wanted to go back and correct it. When day 6 it said it was very good.
Yeah.
Told my own. Day is on the 3rd day is when you get 2. It was good. You get right here. It was good here, and this is the completion of day 2's work. And now we're about to move into day 3's work, and then at the end of day 3's work, then you get another. It was good. It was evening. It was morning. A 3rd day. That's how that was good. So that's actually on day 3. Day 3 gets 2. It was good.
Day 3. Okay.
Yeah. Because remember, day 2 did not get it.
Yeah.
Once the work was completed on day 3 for the work that started on day 2, God finishes and says that was good. Then he begins on the actual work for day 3, and it's interesting. I think that God does not finish day 2's work on one day. That's something that you might ponder over. I'm not exactly sure what the implications of it are. But it's interesting that God could have finished it on day 2. The question is, why didn't he then?
Yeah. I guess it's saying some projects just take, more than one day. Even for God. No. I guess it's sort of showing us that we can take more than one day to do projects, and all that. We don't have to finish everything in it. One day we can, stretch projects out, to make sure they get done good. Maybe even very good.
Very good. Well, he wasn't done very good yet. It was just it was good. It was good that it was done.
Yeah, I know. I tease, of course, with that. Very good. I guess it's could be just to teach us, to take our time to do things, to make sure things are done good.
Okay. Maybe so.
Yeah, it's just a thought off the top of my head.
I will remain uncommitted to why God split the days up. He obviously didn't need to do it for some reason. He did. You've come up with a nice explanation, but I'm not willing to commit.
Yeah.
I'm willing to follow the way. Go. I don't know why. I'm just follow the way.
You want to ponder it a bit longer, which is good.
I'm not satisfied with that explanation quite yet. So moving on to Yud Aleph, which is verse 11, Pasuk Yud Aleph. Ayomer Elokim Tedshe Haaretz Eshe Esev Mazria Zerah Eight Peri Asa Peri Lemino Asher Zaro Bo Al Haaretz Vayihi Kain. Here we have, and God said, let the spread out from the earth, let the earth sprout. Desha Asay, like plant. The English is translated here as plants yielding seed,
Yeah,
and then
seed bearing plants
seed bearing plants, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. And fruit trees that make fruit
with
according to its kind.
yeah. According to the web page that you got, God said, "Let the earth sprout vegetation, seed bearing plants, fruit trees of every kind on earth that bear fruit with the seed in it," and it was so.
It's upon the land, and it was so. Yeah. Okay. So this one right here, um, with this verse 11, pasuk Yud Aleph, he said to Tadshe Haaretz, bring forth, sprout forth from the earth, Desha Esev. What's Desha Esev? Like you said, I think you said plants yielding seed, or how did you say it in English?
Well, it's got seed bearing plants. Yeah, is that the one you're talking about, or?
Yeah, right. Seed bearing plants. So there's a little. So Rashi wants to explain this a certain way, and he says, he said, this should be. Oh, wait, the first thing that I want to talk about is actually the earth itself. Up until this point, I talked about this. There had been separation, right? Everything's getting separated, and now all of a sudden it's saying, "Let the earth bring forth this vegetation."
Yeah.
Now the earth has the power of generating vegetation, which previously nothing was about one thing coming from another. It was really more about separating things from one another. Now we've got a scenario where God is saying, let the earth have this power to allow things to grow in its soil, which is brand new. But we're going to see more of this kind of stuff as we go.
Yeah.
So the first thing is that it gets this ability, and it's going to have this ability forever. It is also also the earth that was in potential. That potential was also created from the very get-go. The potential earth, the Haaretz that was created in the beginning, had the potential of growth, potential to let vegetation grow from it.
Hello?
Sorry, there was a lot of information. I was trying to find the thing that I wanted to quote.
Okay, I just thought we lost you there for a second.
Oh, okay.
With that long pause. It was like,
no, I was on the wrong page. That was my problem. So Rashi writes down, Esha Asev, vegetation of plants. And he says, Lo desha lashon Asev, below Asev lashon desha. Okay, desha does not mean the same as Asev. He's saying there's a difference. Esha Asev, these are two different words. They have two different meanings. That makes sense, right? Why would you use the same word together? Say the same thing. So the term desha refers to Earth's mantle of vegetation. It's talking about vegetation, all around, all the vegetation, like the grouping of it, all of it together. But each plant itself is called Asev. It wants to say that vegetation is called daisha, but individual plants are called asav. Okay?
Okay.
Well, Ramban does not like this approach. He's like, no. This is not, I don't like this. He said, this is what the words mean. Daisha asav, they do have their own meanings, but daisha means referring to sprouting plants, like young, small plants that are sprouting, where asav refers to fully grown plants. And that's why we use daisha as a verb or let forth the earth sprout forth vegetation. Daisha asav, sprout forth vegetation. He says that we're talking about two different points in the growth process of vegetation. So that makes more sense, and then he brings several different proofs to support this idea. One of them just being the common sense of how are you reading this verse? It doesn't make any sense. And he says one of the reasons it doesn't make any sense is because
so basically, God is saying for the earth to bring forth plants at 2 cycles in their life cycle. One older and one more near birth or just after birth.
It seems like what I sounds like he's saying that let the earth sprout forth, right? Sprout forth vegetation, and that what he's saying is, so it's talking about let the earth sprout forth, let the earth little vegetation grow, and become big vegetation. So it's giving us an idea of I guess you could say it's like those if you watch one of those sped up videos over a month, they're sort of recording this plant that you planted burst through the soil and grow over time, but you see it like in the process of 5 minutes it takes to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit like that. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
And but anyway, so one of the reasons that Ramban does not like Rashi's point is because if you're going to say that Esha means vegetation in general, then there's one thing you wouldn't expect to find with the word, and that is a plural form. And yet we have a plural form of desha, deshin, and Rashi himself uses this plural form of the word. He says that's why we know Rashi's wrong, and this is what. So this is the funny thing. I told you about this was that from the very beginning, the Ramban is going to quote Rashi, and sometimes he's going to accept what Rashi says. Sometimes he's going, wait a second, Rashi, you're wrong, and then he's going to tell you why he's wrong and what the better answer is. So this is one of those.
And unfortunately, Rashi's dead, and you can't argue with him.
You know what? The funny thing that's how Judaism works all the time. Like I read the Talmud, right? I'm reading the Talmud, and it says Rava says such and such, Rabbi Meir says such and such, and then it's as if the two of them are arguing with each other. But then you realize that one rabbi lived 100 years before the other rabbi, and so it's not that they were literally ever argued about this thing. It's that the ideas that they're expressing, their understanding, right, is what's being battled right now. What do they actually understand? And it's a great method because what you end up doing is the first thing you find out is that generally they agree almost on everything. And they're only really arguing about one little point. So for example, taking the laws of getting married, like having a marriage contract, right? So a Jew has to give, if he wants to get married, he has to give his soon-to-be fiancée, the woman he's going to get married to, he has to give her something of value. And that thing of value is part of what is effectively saying we're sealing this contract, right?
Yeah.
So Rabbi Hillel and Rabbi Shammai, I believe, I want to say it was those two arguing. One of them says, Rabbi Shammai says the value of that thing has to be a pruta. And Rabbi Hillel says, no, it can be less than a pruta. A pruta is, it's called widow's mite or something like that. It's almost a, Just ringing a bell about something?
Oh, just a thing with in the New Testament. There's something about a widow's
Okay.
mite. So.
Okay, so it's like the smallest form of currency that's almost worthless.
Yeah.
So they both agree 100% that the groom to be has to give his wife something of value. What is that value? Well, both of them would agree that it has to be a pruta or more. Pruta or more, the guy is set. He has carried out and he has officially gotten married, or he's concluded that part of the marriage ceremony, and he's
Yeah.
good on that point. Where they disagree is only, does it have to be a pruta or more, or can it be less than a pruta and more? And that's where they say they're actually arguing with something very small. That's actually turns out to be very important, knowing the boundaries of the law. So, so this understanding helps you whittle away and find the boundaries of how a law works and where you can find your room to maneuver so that you're doing things correctly, the way God warned you to. So, so yeah, even though Rashi's dead, you don't have to worry about Rashi. Rashi's okay because even though the Ramban is disagreeing with him, well, Rashi has people who really like him.
Yeah.
And they'll come along and
They'll argue for him.
Well, before they'll say, "Yeah, you misunderstood Rashi. This is actually what's going on." Now, some of those people that did it after Ramban was dead, so Ramban can't defend himself. But don't worry, because somebody else who's a fan of the Ramban comes along and said, you fans of Rashi don't know what you're talking about. This is what the Ramban meant, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. So it's a blast.
People arguing for people that they think they know after the fact. Jeez, where have I seen that before?
But this is what's so interesting about it is like we talk about Talmudic discourse, and the commentaries we have are very much in line with the tradition of Talmudic discourse. And that is that when you're arguing along these things, number one, you're taking God's word seriously.
Yeah.
Because you really want to understand it. You want to understand it correctly. You want to understand it, and you want to implement it. Right? So you're being very careful. The second thing that's important about this kind of understanding of the text is that you start to realize that the issues are more complex, and it reveals to you that there are certain things that you may not have been aware of beforehand. Now you are becoming aware of. And this isn't just in a matter of the legal standpoint, it's also just the text itself. And we just saw here, we talked about Yamim, how Yamim can't refer to water. Why can't it refer to water? Because it doesn't make any sense. As we saw the use of the word Yam being used in several instances where it didn't refer to water. And we also saw the term Yam being done in association where water is separate from it.
Yeah.
So we see that it forces us to be more careful when we're analyzing and reading and understanding the text that we have before us. So, and trees that make fruit, which is the seed in it. Okay. Oh, let me find that. Oh yeah, I was reading too far down. It's pre Asa. See, a show pre lamino, like fruit trees according to its kind. So it's pre in
are we going
English,
into 12 here?
What's that?
Are we going into 12 here?
Not quite. I might be going to 12. Why?
Just because. Oh, I'm just making sure, because you said with it's after its kind or whatever, and that's not.
That's 11. That's in 12.
Yeah.
11. That's 11. Right. It's 11. So in English, if I want to use an adjective, I want to say the green car. The adjective comes before the noun, right?
Yeah.
In Hebrew, the adjective comes after the noun. If I want a bottle of water, I have to say bakbuk mayim in Hebrew. Bakbuk Mayim means bottle, like a water. I want a Coke Zero to say Bakbuk Zero. I get lots of practice doing this because I'm always after a zero. So I'm always having a Bakbuk Zero. Pakit is like a little can. But anyway, so here it says tree, like a tree. What kind of tree are you talking about? Well, not just any kind of tree, a fruit tree.
Yeah.
A fruit tree. What makes the fruit tree? It makes the fruit according to its kind, not according. You're never going to go to a fruit tree. God's saying, I don't want to have a fruit tree that's an orange fruit tree and that it produces apples. So
Yeah.
if it's an orange tree, it has to produce oranges. Apple
Yeah.
tree it has to produce apples.
If it's a
Which
pear tree, it has
continues.
to fruit pears.
If it's snozberries, it has to produce snozberries, right?
Yeah.
And it was so. So here we have that this is set that these vegetation you have vegetation is being produced. It goes into the sprouting phase, and then it becomes a full grown plant. Fruit trees bear their fruit, and the fruit is after its kind. That is sowed as the potentials become actualized,
Yeah.
and the earth will send out Desha Esav, the fruit, the sprouting vegetation from the seeds according to its kind, and I think we've gotten into verse 12,
Okay.
and the tree that makes fruit, which is the seed in it according to its kind, and God saw that it was good. So here we have God sees that this is good, that everything worked out according to His will. So he's happy. Okay, it's done. This is what I wanted. This is what happened. This is perfect. Any questions up to here?
Not that I can think of. And we
Okay,
have,
so Yud Gimel.
we might
Go
actually
ahead.
get verse 13 done.
First 13 is a guarantee as long as you don't have a rabbit trail before I say it out loud.
Okay, can I think
Yud
of a rabbit
Gimel.
trail? Rabbit trail, rabbit trail.
Yud Gimel says Boker Yom Shlishi. So it was evening, it was morning, the third day.
Wow.
So now we the first 3 days of creation out and done. It
We
was just
got,
that simple, Rick.
well, can you believe it? We got 5 verses done today. I know we got 10 more minutes or whatever.
We got 10 minutes. I think we should keep pushing. Let's see, can we get another verse done?
We don't want to start verse 4 next time? Or day 4 next time? I know, I'm just kidding.
We got 10 minutes. We're going to use those 10 minutes, Rick. We're going to use those 10 minutes to talk about day 4. We're going to use it to talk about one of your rabbit trails. Which is it?
I can't.
Trail
I can't think of. Unfortunately, I can't think of any rabbit trails at the moment. I'm sorry.
I'm fine with it, but I think everybody else is disappointed. Everybody else is going, I'm really hoping he distract things, drag things out. We're going way too fast. This is way too much information. That's part of what my problem has been. I've been distracted. I'm going, why are we going so fast? I'm glad I studied as much as I did, because if I hadn't, then I would be going, I don't know what this verse means. But luckily I did study in preparation because I knew this day was going to come. This day would come where Rick didn't have a rabbit trail, and we would start shooting forward really fast. And now I've created my own rabbit trail. You see, Rick, that's how it's done.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
That's how it's done. You create your own rabbit trail. That's what I just did for you.
Although not quite as long as mine. But then again, mine usually lead to about 20 others.
That's right. That's right. Well, no, you're not on your game right now.
I'm slipping.
Rick, I have a suggestion for you, and that is that next week before our next class, I want you to sit down with the text, and I want you to read it, and I want you to come up with at least 10 rabbit trails that you can potentially use throughout the course of the class. Because I think people are like, we don't want to go so fast. We were enjoying like 1-2 verses a week. That was great for us. Like, Desha Eitze, what the heck is that? What is he talking about, Desha Eitze? That doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't even English. Why is he using a word that words that aren't English? Why is he attacking us with those? So you've let everybody down, and
yes.
at least you feel ashamed.
Either that, or you're getting better. Either that, or you get better at teaching this. You're answering my rabbit trails before I can think of them.
Maybe, but I think it's just I think you were. I think what happened, honestly, between you and me, I think what happened was that you were so swept up in learning that you were like in such awe of my amazing teaching ability that you every time a rabbit trail was performed, you go, no, go away. I got to hear this, right? That's what happened.
Yeah.
I think
I can buy that. I can buy that.
prior to this point, you were like, this stuff, I don't care. It doesn't make any sense. It's not even interesting. And then today I finally got you. You were, oh, this is interesting. And you forgot all about your rabbit trails. That's what happened.
Yeah, well, all the other stuff was interesting too, but there's. I guess it was just the first couple days of creation. It's somehow easier to go on the rabbit trails.
Yeah.
And then now it's like they're just not there to go on. I'm sure we'll get, especially once we get into Adam and Eve and the serpent and all that. I'm sure that'll hopefully create some
Rick
rabbit
was like,
trail.
Rick was like, you had me at Dacia Asaph. Oh, I'm so glad, Rick. I'm so glad for you. Okay, we got about 5 minutes or so. Let's try to get into it. I want to get into it because this is where stuff gets really interesting. Vayomer Elokim v'hi me'arot rakia hashemayim l'havdil ben hayom uvein halayla v'hayu la'oto ulma'odim uyamim v'shanim. So it says here, and God said, let there be luminaries in the rakia of the heavens, the expanse of the heavens, right? To separate between the day and between the night. And it will be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So that takes us through verse 15, it looks like.
Yeah. No rabbit trails here. Nothing special about these things.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something interesting. It is a little bit of a rabbit trail, but I think you'll find it interesting. When we count verse 15, pasuk, right, the pasuk 15, we don't say yud hey, which is how you'd expect it to be, but our 15 is tet vav.
Tet
so you
vav?
have to add those two, tet vav, which is 9 plus 6. So 9 plus 6 equals 15. The reason that we don't use the yud and the hey is because that forms God's name. So you don't want to use the yud and the hey together because that's God's name. So you use the tet and the vav, and that's why we do it that way.
Oh, interesting. So there's nothing interesting you can say about verse 14 in the Hebrew?
Of course there's interesting stuff. There's always interesting stuff. See here. The first thing it says, Vayomer Elokim v'hi ma'arot barakia hashemayim. Let there be luminaries in the heavens.
Lights.
Right? Now the first thing is lights. Wait a second. What was created on the first day? Day one.
The light. Not light.
The light.
But these
the light was created on the first day, right? And it says back here. He says, let there be light, or, right? And now he's over here, he's saying, and God said, let there be ma'orot. It has the same root, or. Let there be ma'orot. Right? Ma'orot versus or. So what's going on? Why do we have light created already on the first day? And on day 4, we have lights being created again?
I think, at least with the English, there's a difference. It was let light be created. These are lights. It's like, okay, how do I?
Well, the Hebrew says, let there be light. These are called, and I use the English word luminary because it's something that produces light.
No.
So day one says, let there be light. So what was the light? What's the light on day one? And then how is it different from the light from day 4? Why do we need the lights from day 4? We've already got light, so why do we need the lights from day 4?
Yeah, we don't have. Well, different type of, obviously a different type of light.
The answer is right there on the page. There's a reason that we need these new lights.
Yeah, it says.
You know what that is?
Signs of the times.
To separate between
night and day.
Day and between the night.
The service.
Although that's good. The light was doing that, so now it's doing double duty. We have double duty going on here. But then, be for signs. Signs. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And for seasons.
Yeah.
And for days and for years. So it has all these extra things. Not only does it do the thing the other light did, but it also has other functions that it does.
Yeah.
Here's another question.
Go ahead.
Here's my last question, then we're going to end. My last question is, what happened to the light that was created on the first day? Is it still there?
I'd say it is. It's probably more light coming. Probably more light coming from God. To be too spiritual on the.
Rick, this is going to be a mystery that we're going to save for next week.
Yes. Let's end on the cliffhanger for people. Make them want coming back more. You always want people want to leave people coming back for more. Right? Hello? Hello? Are you there? Hillel is frozen. We're really ending on a cliffhanger here, folks, because it looks like Hillel is no longer with us. So, bye for now. You'll catch my intro off for those that watch my channel. I'm just going to stop recording for mine. And hello! Wow. We got through more than 2 verses? That's just mind-blowing. Wow! More than 2 verses. What was it? 4, 5 verses we got? We're through day 3. We're on to day 4. Oh man, things are speeding up a little. They might slow down again, shortly, not too many rabbit trails this week. We don't know when the rabbit trails are going to come and how long they are. And you got to love us discussing a rabbit trail that lasts a little bit. A rabbit trail about rabbit trails. That was just so funny. Classic. Me and Hillel get along well together. We have our differences, theologically, but, we're both good people. And that's awesome that people can get with differing opinions, especially religiously, can get along so well. Anyways, it shows what can happen when people just use love and, allow people to have a difference of opinion. And we need to do that more in our world. So, bye for now. God bless. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.